Today's Gospel is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, beginning to read at verse 35. And it's the story of the stilling of the storm. When evening had come, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd behind, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that the boat was already being swamped. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him up and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" He woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." Then the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. He said to them, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" And they were filled with great awe and said to one another, "Who then is this that even the wind and the sea obey him?" A classic question to ask children in a primary school assembly is, what job did some of the disciples have? Ideally, hands will shoot up and you'll hear the answer, fisherman. The child is pleased when you say yes, and the teacher who is responsible for RE is relieved. Now, as it happens, there are two sorts of fishing in the Holy Land: fishing from boats and fishing from the land, casting nets from the shore to catch the shoals of fish coming sort of near the beach. The disciples certainly did the former, though, because they left their boats to follow Jesus. And boats figure in the gospel stories in all sorts of ways. So Jesus nips onto a boat to avoid getting crushed by the crowd. He uses a boat as a platform to preach. And today he uses a boat as a sort of Uber to get from one side of the Sea of Galilee to the other side. Boats, in other words, provide a familiar comfort zone for those beginning to gather around Jesus. Mark wants us to think today about what being one of those gathering around Jesus might mean. One of the ways he does that is to put those guys in a familiar space, a boat, and to test out how well they have absorbed what Jesus has been saying to them. Today is, if you like, an early stress test for discipleship. The word boat appears 4 times in our story. Mark is drumming into our heads the idea of feeling safe and secure in an environment with which we are at home. Add Jesus as a passenger, making him at home on a sort of comfy cushion, and all will be well. Mark is saying to us, warning us, I think, that the life of a disciple can begin to feel a bit like this. We don't have to change the way we live. Jesus can be for us a bit of a mascot, nice to have on board, but tucked away out of sight, not getting in the way of our lives, until, of course, the storm appears out of nowhere. At that point, says Mark, we remember that we have Jesus on board, although we are not sure how best to deploy him. Jesus wakes up. Mark actually says he rises. This is a resurrection story. The resurrection is about what it does to us. Jesus asks where we are on the continuum between fear and faith. Fear is no bad thing, but if we treat Jesus only as a mascot, our fear will stop us from taking a step of faith, trust and hope that enables us to see him for who he is, the Lord of all creation.